this season, but the weekend has not gone well for the Mets. They fell behind 3-0 on Friday night. They hadn't homered in their first 3 games. Their first home run of the season came from David Wright. And on the very next pitch, John Mayberry hit another one to tie the game at 3, and it stayed that way till the 8th. And a poor decision by the captain trying to tag Jace Peterson. Couldn't do it. That opened the door for Phil Gosselin's bases loaded 2-out, 2-run single that put the Braves up 5-3, and that's how that one ended. Last night, the Braves started early again. This time it was Freddie Freeman doing what Freddie Freeman does. He went deep against Dylan G to give the Braves a 1-0 lead. It was still 1-0 into the 5th when the Braves strung together 4 straight extra base hits, scored 4 runs in that inning to go up 5-0. Mets got a couple in the 7th and a chance for more with the bases loaded, nobody out, but a double play ball short-circuited the rally. Mets got just 1 more run and lost that game as well, 5-3. The Mets have now lost 100 games at Turner Field, 55 and 100 all-time in what has been a place where much bad has happened to the Mets over the years. But as for this series so far, it's been interesting watching the Braves, a revamped team, really change their approach. They're 5-0 to start the year.
Well, when you look at this team, you're talking about a team that doesn't strike out much. They don't hit the ball out of the ballpark much, and that's because of the moves that John Hart made this winter. He really went for more speed. He's got guys that are taking a better 2-strike approach. We've talked about Kevin Seitzer, their new hitting coach. He has been pressing that also. So Braves team don't have as many great names as they've had in the past, but they might be a little better team as far as speed and hitting with 2 strikes.
Well, the Braves are off to their best start since 1994, and the Mets just trying to get home with a 500 record before their home opener tomorrow afternoon. It's the Mets and Braves in Atlanta. All the action coming your way today on SNY. 50 years of Braves baseball in Atlanta. That was their lone World Series championship 20 years ago, 1995, when they beat the Indians in the World Series.
I remember that, Gary. I was still playing in 1995, and I remember that was a struggle of a year because it was strike shortened, only 144 games played.
New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by Geico. Over 75 years of savings and service. By Hyundai, get in your comfort zone with the most advanced Elantra yet. Visit your Hyundai dealer today. By Verizon, don't miss a moment of Mets baseball with Fios Quantum, the fastest and most reliable internet only from Verizon. And by Citi, proud partner of the New York Mets. MLB.tv Premium is the #1 live streaming sports service. Watch every out-of-market game live on demand in true HD, real-time highlights, live look-ins, pitch tracking widget, and more. Visit MLB.tv for details. Second time around in the rotation for the Mets starts today with Bartolo Colon, who was just terrific on opening day.
He really was. He just gave up that one home run to Bryce Harper. You see his numbers at Turner Field. 205 wins, 141 losses for the talented veteran right-hander. And Alex Wood just struggled through a year. He was 11-11, but it should have been much better. His ERA well under 3. He's been so much better as a starter than a reliever in his career.
Just 24 years old, out of the University of Georgia. He'll take the mound against the 41-year-old Colon this afternoon at Turner Field. It's the Mets and Braves first pitch coming right up. By Geico, Curtis Granderson getting the day off, so Juan Lagares hits leadoff. Daniel Murphy getting the day off, so Ruben Tejada plays second base. And Travis d'Arnaud getting the day off, so Anthony Recker is behind the plate. John Mayberry starting again against the lefty, as he did on Friday night.
I was mentioning before that Alex Wood has been a much better starting pitcher than reliever. 2.59 ERA in his starts. When you watch him pitch, he's very unusual, very unorthodox, and that usually gives the hitters problems.
Reminds you a little bit of the guy who's pitching for the White Sox today, Chris Sale.
Yeah, same kind of motion. Here's a look at the Braves' Coors Light defense this afternoon. Seems like there's some platoons going on. Gomes is in left field. Eric Young Jr. a start again in center. Markakis in right. Callaspo, Simmons, Peterson, and Freeman in the infield. And doing the catching today, the veteran A.J. Pierzynski.
We mentioned last night the Braves have the catching combo of the youngest catcher in the majors in Christian Bethancourt and the oldest catcher in the majors in Pierzynski, who gets the start today, now with his 7th major league team. Juan Lagares leads off for the first time this season after spending most of the spring leading off, and takes a first pitch fastball for a strike from Wood, and we're underway. Lagares led off 37 times last year for the Mets, had a .329 on base percentage in that role. The Mets were hoping that they could teach him to be a little bit better at leading off. His ground ball to Simmons and the first out of the game. And it seemed during spring training that Lagares really took that to heart, took a lot of pitches, drew some walks, worked deep counts, and looked like a developing leadoff hitter.
Yeah, he wasn't swinging, like you said, at bad pitches, and he did a lot of coming back from 0-2 counts to walk after working the count full. But you know what? Let's see if he can have a big day today, although he grounds out to the wrong person to ground out in the infield.
Now 4 for 21 to start the year, and no walks. And the Mets as a team have not been drawing a lot of walks in the early season, which you know, maybe denotes a little bit of a change in approach from the last few seasons. David Wright, for instance, has not drawn a walk yet. He's 3 for 8 in this series and takes outside for ball 1.
Yeah, to me, the Mets have been uber aggressive compared to last year at this time.
24-year-old Alex Wood, his 2nd full year in the Braves rotation. And he takes a strike. Wright does, 1-1. They sent Wood down to the minors for a time last year to stretch himself out and prepare himself for a full-time role in the rotation. And this year he starts there from day 1. 1-2 now to Wright with Duda on deck.
Well, it's interesting you said he's a little bit like Chris Sale. Chris Sale getting his first start of the season. He's coming off that fractured foot. He's more of a Chris Sale light. Chris Sale's around 95 to 96. This young man around 90 miles an hour on his fastball.
1-2 to Wright, and he fouls away the fastball. David 6 for 21 to start the year. Hit his first home run of the season here on Friday night. Took an 0 for last night. David protecting, fouls away. It's still 1-2.
I was waiting to get here today to have 80 degrees, sunny skies, and
didn't quite work out that way. 63 and overcast as we begin play today. Breeze blowing lightly across the field from right toward left. And the changeup gets David Wright. First strikeout for Alex Wood. 2 out. There are your umpires for today's game. Marvin Hudson has the plate. Jim Reynolds at first. Paul Schreiber at second. And the crew chief, Fieldon Colbreth, is at third. So 2 out and nobody on. Now Lucas Duda. Duda 2 for 5 in this series. Mets had only 3 hits last night, and Duda had 2 of the 3. And after Lucas sat against the lefty Eric Stoltz on Friday, today he's the only left-hand hitter in the Mets lineup against Alex Wood.
I found it interesting because Stoltz is more of a guy you think that would be easier for Duda to handle. Wood is very difficult on the lefties.
Duda's 0 for 6 against Alex Wood, making his 2nd start of the year. He got lots of run support early against Miami on Tuesday and cruised to a 12-2 win. Went 5 innings. Duda plunks one to shallow center field. Eric Young coming on to play it on a hop, and Duda has a base hit against the left-hander. Eric Young playing very deep, and Duda able to drop it into left center in front of him.
Well, I can't say enough about Lucas. You know, he had the weakness hitting against left-handers. He told Terry Collins after he came off that oblique injury that he wanted to face the lefties. He did it in spring training, facing guys like David Price and others. And I think he can only help here in this season in 2015.
So Duda's aboard with 2 out. Now Michael Kadire, 1 for 7 in this series. Just 4 for 20 to start his Mets career. And among those 20 at-bats, 9 strikeouts, which ties him for the most in the National League. So Kadire not off to the start he would have liked after signing as a free agent. Duda at first and 2 down.
Keith said save some of those hits from spring training.
He did say that. don't know whether there's any validity to that. But the Mets tore it up in the Grapefruit League, and they've really struggled with the bats since starting the season. A 196 team batting average through the first 5 games. And probably the even greater note, a .252 slugging percentage, which is dead last in the National League.
And you can't blame it on the weather. They've been lucky. Usually in April you can get some bad weather days. They have not gotten one of those yet.
They did face quality pitching in Washington, and they faced the Braves ace Tehran last night. Nonetheless, they would certainly like to have a couple of productive offensive days.
By the way, there's productive pitching everywhere, so you're not going to be able to use that at any time as an excuse. You've got to get it done.
Well, you were pointing out there are overwhelming pitching performances going on just about everywhere this early season. The latest entrant, the rookie for the Diamondbacks, Archie Bradley, made his major league debut against Clayton Kershaw and the Dodgers last night, and Bradley was better.
Well, he was one of 4 pitchers yesterday that, while they were out there, starting pitchers had only gave up 1 hit. Joe Kelly, Ubaldo Jimenez, and Chris Archer, the others.
2-2 to Kadire, and he fouls it away. Kadire hitting cleanup. John Mayberry waiting on deck.
So far, watching the pitchers facing Kadire, a lot of stuff down in the strike zone. He is a high ball hitter. So a lot of breaking balls down, a lot of sinkers down.
And Wood fires a changeup outside, 3-2. So Kadire has worked the count from 0-2 to 3-2. That'll get Duda moving. Freeman will play behind him with 3-2 and 2 down. 3-2 coming. And Kadire lifts one to deep left field. Back goes Gomes onto the warning track, back at the wall. It's out of here. Michael Kadire with his first home run as a New York Met, a 2-run shot. And the Mets jump in front of the opening inning, 2-0. A bloop from Duda, a blast from Kadire, and the Mets off to a fast start on a Sunday afternoon.
Well, nice hitting by Kadire. It's almost like Wood pulled the string on him, threw a little changeup, 3-2. And he stayed back on it. Yeah, he just laid it right over the middle, and he got all of it. Good start here for the Mets.
So Kadire, who hit 6 home runs during spring training, has his first one in the Mets uniform that matters. And the Mets had Bartolo Colon an early 2-0 lead. John Mayberry takes a fastball for a strike.
Well, I've been here many times. The reaction of the pitcher, he covers his mouth with the glove like, uh-oh.
And Mayberry cracks one into left field, and he's got a base hit. So 3 straight 2-out hits for New York. Mayberry, who specializes at pummeling left-handers, picks up another hit against a lefty.
Well, we've seen from Mayberry right from spring training, and the home run you talked about in the open, Gary. Just a nice, languid swing, but some pop behind it.
Languid, that's a good word.
It's not one of those quick strokes you see from some hitters.
So 2 runs home. Mayberry at first. Now Anthony Recker gets his first at bat of the season. Travis d'Arnaud caught the first 5 games, and this will be Recker's initial at bat. 58 games last year for Recker. Hit just .201, but 7 home runs, and had a knack, as he did the year before, for hitting his home runs in spots that mattered most. And he takes a fastball for a strike.
Well, his last at bat before the Mets started the season, he hit a grand slam right in Texas.
He had to battle to keep his backup catching job because Johnny Manel had a very, very good spring, especially with the bat. Left-hand swinger. But Recker has shown that he can hit for power at the major league level, that he can catch once a week and be effective. He's got a good arm.
Who are the catchers in AAA? Plawecki and Monell?
Yep. Okay. Of course, Plawecki's the big prospect, and the Mets are going to have to figure out what to do when he's ready to play at the major league level, but that's down the road. 2-1 to Recker. Wilmer Flores would be next. Well, Wood retired the first 2. Lagares on a ground ball. He struck out right, but Duda dumped one in front of Young in center field. Kadire hit one over everybody in left. Mayberry followed with a hit. Now 2-1 to Recker. breaking ball down, 3-1.
Wood looks a little rattled after that first inning home run. A little hesitant to throw it in the strike zone.
And he walked Wrecker on a 3-1 fastball. So 4 straight have reached base after 2 out and nobody on. And now 2 aboard for Wilmer Flores. There's your around the majors from last night. We mentioned Archie Bradley, big league debut. He was spectacular. James Shields rematched with Madison Bumgarner from the World Series, and this time Shields got the upper hand. Bumgarner lasted just 3 innings. And Kendrys Morales had a big game. Jeremy Guthrie went 7, and the Royals improved to 5-0 by beating the Angels. Royals are 5-0. The Tigers are 5-0, and the Tigers have outscored their opposition coming into today 39-11. And they're already up 3-1 on the Indians in the second inning today.
So Shields outpitched Bumgarner, and Archie Bradley outpitched Clayton Kershaw. So think about this. Madison Bumgarner gave up 6 earned runs in 42 2/3 innings in the postseason. 5 earned runs yesterday in 3 innings.
Kershaw at least lasted into the 7th, but he also gave up 6 runs last night. So the Mets with 2 runs home in the first and looking for more. Mayberry at second, Wrecker at first and 2 out. Here's Wilmer Flores, 2 for 16 to start the year. And he takes a fastball out of the strike zone for ball 1. Well, we knew that Ruben Tejada was going to get a start today. What we didn't know is that it was going to be for Murphy and not for Flores. Murphy a little sore after playing the first 5 games. Remember, he missed the last 3 weeks of spring training because of the hamstring problem. And so Murph gets the day off today, and Flores remains in there. And Tejada waits on deck. 2 out and 2 on. And Wood really having troubles now, even after a visit from Roger McDowell trying to settle him down.
Well, with the Murphy being a little tired, kind of subtle serendipity, isn't it? I believe Flores should be in there every day to work through this problem. The problem's not going to go away by being on the bench.
6 straight out of the strike zone from Wood. And now 7. So a deep breath necessary for a young Mr. Wood. Turn Flores loose here on 3-0.
Why not? I think with Tejada up next, yes.
8-hitter on deck.
Tejada's had what, 1 at bat in the season so far? Let him go.
Flores looking for his first run batted in of the year. And he takes the 3-0 fastball for a strike.
Good pitch to take.
Well, Alex Wood about to throw his 30th pitch of this opening inning. Looked like it was going to be easy for him after he retired the first 2. It's turned into a slog. Behind on Flores now 3-1. And Wilmer takes another fastball for a strike, and now it's full. So that'll set Mayberry and Wrecker in motion. Three-two coming to Flores. And Wilmer goes down swinging, side retired. Wood comes back from 3-0 to strike out Flores and put a limit on the damage. But damage provided by Michael Kadire. His first home run as a Met, 2-run shot. And the Mets hand Bartolo Colon a 2-0 lead in Atlanta. Brought to you by Hyundai. A.J. Przinsky gets his first start of the series. Eric Young Jr. second straight day in center field as the Braves, trailing for the first time this season, take on Bartolo Colon.
Well, you see his starts, 15 wins, a milestone year for him last year. Got his 2000th strikeout, 200th win in 2014.
Eric Young takes a letter-high strike. EY 1 for 5 in this series. Had a run-scoring triple in the game last night. Playing against his former team, and the Mets have the corners pinched in against the threat of the bunt. Well, it was an historic opening day for Bartolo Colon. He not only beat the Nats with 6 solid innings, he struck out 8. And they went back, Elias did, and looked at 40-year-old, 40-plus starters working on opening day. And they could only find 2 other 40-plus starting pitchers who had struck out 8 or more on opening day. Nolan Ryan.
Makes sense.
And Cy Young.
Oh, yeah.
Nolan Ryan, Cy Young, Bartolo Colon. I mean, that's just phenomenal.
That's one I'm going to save. I'm going to give that to him because he's going to need that someday.
Young strikes out, and so Colon starts on a new record as his first out of this day.
The Lexus Mets defense behind Bartolo Colon. Some changes here on this Sunday afternoon game. You know, Colon fields his position well. The rest of the Mets, Kadire, Lagares, and Mayberry Jr. Granderson gets to sit down this Sunday afternoon. Right, Flores, Tejada, and Duda. Tejada playing at second base, and Anthony Recker behind the plate.
Here's Jace Peterson, 0 for 4 in this series. Rookie second baseman, 2 for 14 to start the year. Peterson acquired in the Justin Upton deal with San Diego, not to be confused with the Melvin Upton deal with San Diego. You figure that they could have put together a package and done all the Uptons at once, but they had to ship them out to the West Coast piecemeal.
I find it funny that they'd be on one team and now traded to the same team.
Kadire under the fly ball from Peterson, and quickly Colon has the first 2 outs. So 2 out and nobody on. Now Nick Markakis. Markakis got himself untracked last night with a couple of hits, drove in a run. Well, that was a Jason Hayward jersey. They've changed right fielders, but the same number, and so fan with a little bit of handiwork,
sense of humor. I like it.
Made his Hayward jersey into a Markakis jersey.
In case Hayward comes back, because he's a free agent. You know.
That's true. It's one of the reasons, well, really the prime reason why the Braves decided to trade him. And the same is true of Justin Upton. Both are free agents after the year, and rather than risk losing them and getting nothing back, they dealt them both.
Like the Mets with Reyes. I mean, they decided that we're not going to pay these guys a 5 or 6 year contract, so you're gone.
Difference is the Mets got nothing with Reyes, and the Braves got a return. 2 strikeouts in the opening inning for Bartolo Colon. Braves are down 1-2-3. Mets up 2-0 after 1. history of the game. Former Brave and former Met, Warren Spahn.
Came to the Mets late, right?
He did. Also was a pitching coach for the Mets.
Look at that leg kick and dropping that arm right down to almost his shoe, his cleat. That's great.
Ruben Tejada leads off the second, takes a strike from Alex Wood. Amazing thing about Spahny is he didn't come up to the big leagues until I think he was 26, 27 years old.
Well, he had a couple of years of military service, right? Early.
And he still won 363. Karam shot off Wood, but right to Simmons, who throws out Tejada for the first down.
I don't think it caught Wood. I think it just caught some leather as it was going by him.
No concern for Wood after deflecting this ball.
Yeah, just caught his glove. Got it up in time.
And it fooled him because he had his glove up and then he was kind of shying out of the way.
I think it was more of a changeup off the end of the bat from Tejada. That'll happen sometimes when you're on the mound.
So 1 out and nobody on, and now the batting stylings of Bartolo Colon, who takes a strike.
Sometimes he swings, sometimes he doesn't. It depends.
Well, Colon 0 for 2 to start this year. But he hit a ball very hard in Washington in his first start, a bullet to center field that was caught. However, Bartolo, going back to last year, is 0 for his last 36.
I want him to get one infield hit before he's not a Met anymore. I want to see. We'll get the stopwatch on him.
And he takes strike 3 called, so Colon having a little interest in that at bat. Third strikeout for Alex Wood, 2 out.
When you're watching Wood, it's all arms and legs. That ball right behind him, we were showing you the Spahn statue. And that was what makes him so tough, is that you don't really pick it up. They used to have a guy that pitched for the Braves during Keith and my time, Larry McWilliams, who had a similar motion.
Big hop for Simmons to handle. Throws out Lagares, and a quick inning for Alex Wood. He needed that after a tough first inning. Colon back to the mound with a 2-0 lead. Into the game and avoid expected traffic by taking public transportation. Pre-game festivities start at 12:30 tomorrow. Be in your seats at that time. That's an order. Thanks in advance, and we'll see you tomorrow.
No Shake Shack. No.
Freddie Freeman leads off on the home second and takes the strike. Big crowd. Take mass transit.
Get there early.
Get there early.
Okay.
Festivities start at 12:30.
That's what I'm doing.
You don't want to miss a minute. So if you can get to the gates open at 10:40, so that gives you plenty of time to get on the 7 train, get to the ballpark, get your Shake Shack, and be in your seat at 12:30.
They'll have express trains, I'm sure. 7 train for
take the LIRR if you want. Plenty of buses pass right by the ballpark. Little nubber off the mound comes Cologne, and he throws out Freeman, 1 away. Well, that's the way the rotation has gone. 4 very good starts and 1 not so good for Dylan Jean last night. And that's all presented by DraftKings. Play daily fantasy baseball for free on DraftKings.com. Enter promo code NYM for free entry. Jacob deGrom gets the home opener start tomorrow. That's a big honor for him coming off his Rookie of the Year season. I think he'll be pretty pumped, as will the 40+ thousand fans in attendance tomorrow.
Opening day in New York. There's no other thing like it.
A.J. Pierzynski, the batter, his first plate appearance in the series, and he drives one to left center, slicing away from Lagares. He can't get it. Barehanded by Kadire, and he'll hold Pierzynski to a single. The ball kept moving away from Lagares, and he just couldn't get the glove far enough across.
He's mad at himself for not coming up with that. He feels like if he gets leather on it, it should be a catch. Good hitting by the veteran Pierzynski, and just off the end of the glove.
And nicely backed up by Kadire to keep that from being an extra base hit. So a 1-out single for Pierzynski. First base runner for the Braves, and now Johnny Gomes. Gomes started the opening game of the series. 1 for 2 and a couple of walks. He's got good career numbers against Cologne. 7 for 18 with a couple of home runs.
I can see why. He was ready to hit there. A lot of teams come into a game against Cologne, and I don't know why they do it. They take the first strike the first time through the lineup. Makes no sense. He's just going to throw you strikes. That's what he does.
You know that Cologne is a guy who relies on his fastball. The folks who tracked him his first game had him at 89% fastballs. Right near the bag, the flip by Tejada, the turn by Flores, not in time. Gomes beats it out. Mets get the force, but can't turn 2, and the inning continues.
Well, that ball was jammed Johnny Gomes, and I think there should have been a little more urgency on the Mets' part up the middle. See, the toss is up in the air. Flores kind of doesn't have a lot of urgency there, and Johnny Gomes, if you know how he plays, always plays hard and beats it out.
So Gomes is aboard on the fielder's choice. Clearly safe at first. Now Alberto Callaspo bats with 2 out. Callaspo 1 for 3 in the series, had a double last night. In fact, it was his double that got that big inning started for the Braves against Dylan G in the 5th. Didn't hit it well, hit it off the end of the bat and floated it down the right field line. It fell for a 2-base hit, and the Braves added 3 more extra base hits in that inning. Callaspo 5 for 10 to start the season. And he pops one up. Might be playable for Recker, but not quite.
Gary, you mentioned the 89%. You know, it's interesting coming off spring training that we saw Cologne using his changeup and slider a little more. We thought that might be part of the game plan, but he went right back to old Cologne, and that is fastball, fastball, fastball.
If it's working for him, he's not changing the program.
Right.
Last year we saw a couple of occasions where he started to mix in some more sliders and changeups, particularly after he gave up those 4 home runs in Anaheim. But eventually he reverted back to 85 to 90% fastball. Line to center field, and Callaspo's got a hit. So the second hit of the inning off Cologne, and the Braves have the tying runs aboard.
Trying to come inside, and he does, but it drifts back over the middle of the plate. Nice hitting by Callaspo. This ball, when it was thrown in, no one was covering second base, and it went almost into the dugout. Recker made a play. Sunday day game. Snap to it, boys. I mean, Lagares throws to the second where he's supposed to be. Tejada's not paying attention. Goes between Gomes' legs. Past Colon because of the bounce. Over to Recker, who finally backs it up. That play should be a little easier than that.
Thank goodness Recker was the fail-safe. 2 out and 2 on for Andrelton Simmons, who's really swung the bat well in this series. And he drives this one to the gap in left center field, and that might tie the game. Gomes is in to score. Callaspo being waved home. Simmons heading to third. No relay. It's a 2-run triple for Andrelton Simmons. Now the Braves have gotten even at 2-2. Simmons not just wowing with his glove in this series, he's really swung it well.
Well, again, first pitch swinging by these Braves. Nice short stroke from Simmons, something we didn't see a lot of last season. And by the time Kadire gets this in, enough speed on the bases to tie the game up, and a triple for Simmons. He's very quick at shortstop. He's got good speed once he gets it going, and he pushes it to third.
First triple of the year for Simmons, who had 4 of them last year. Now the pitcher, Alex Wood, takes a strike. See Wood's career batting numbers, nothing to write home about, just 3 for 62. First start of the year, he had 2 plate appearances, sacrificed both times. Not here. And Colon misses outside, a ball and a strike.
You know, Bartolo will take the onus of giving up these hits, but he should have never had to face these batters. The double play on Gomes has to be turned 100 times out of 100.
Well, it goes against the pitcher's record, but you watch day by day teams that don't have good middle infield defense cost themselves games. 1-2 coming to Wood, and he just got a piece of that one to stay alive.
I never ever criticize if you're on point and you make the exchange and you're right with it, and the guy beats it at first base. But we're talking about Johnny Gomes. You know, we're not talking about a speedster here. You know, it was a one-hopper to Tejada. Just have to make the play. No else. I don't know how more simply to put it.
Well, the 7 and 8 hitters were able to cash it in. Callaspo with a base hit, and then Simmons the 2-run triple. And that got Wood out of the hole after he gave up the 2-run home run in the first to Michael Kadire. Two from Colon, and he takes care of Wood to end the inning. Third strikeout for Colon, but the Braves cash a pair on Simmons' triple. 2-2 as we go to the third in Atlanta. couple of 2-out hits after the Mets failed to end the inning on what could have been a double play.
Well, to try to explain it, watch Tejada. He kind of backs up on the ball, and then just to kind of soft toss the Flores. You're going to want to try to get rid of that a little quicker or come up on the baseball, and then the shortstop, you don't see it here, Flores, as Brzezinski comes into him and tries to take him out. But I think he's got to rip across that bag with a little more intent. I think what happened on that play, and I could be wrong, Johnny Gomes, a veteran player, he looks kind of plodding, he can't run, and sometimes you think it's going to be an easy double play. Well, Gomes with his hustle made it into a fielder's choice.
David Wright leads off in the third. Wright struck out his first time up against Alex Wood. Wright, Duda, and Kadire for the Mets in the third. Wood had a slog of a first inning, gave up 3 hits and a walk, gave up the 2-run homer to Kadire through 31 pitches. Then bounced back in the second and had a 1-2-3-6 pitch inning. It's got to be such a luxury as a pitcher pitching in the National League. When you have that bad first inning, you know the pitcher is part of the hitters coming up in the second.
Oh, well, it's huge. It's huge for your psyche. It's huge for as dudes on deck pumping your stats. You know, at the end of the year, you probably have 30 more punch-outs than you would in the American League. It's key, but it also can work against you if a guy gets on and the pitcher moves him across, and sometimes they can small ball you.
3-1 coming to Wright, and David takes low, ball 4. Second walk given up by Wood, and the Mets get the leadoff man on in the third. That's the first walk that David has drawn in the first week of the season. So Duda comes to the plate with a man on. Lucas up against the left-hander, dunked a base hit into left center his first time up.
That's runners at first base have to be careful because Wood's got a good move to first. This entire staff has good moves, good fielders.
It's got to be some of the residue of the pitching coach, I would think.
Yeah, Roger was a great athlete when he pitched for the Mets and of course other teams. He's a veteran, Brzezinski, going out there and calming down his pitcher, and probably, you know, AJ's one of those catchers. He'll come out and he won't butter you up. He'll go out there and get into you sometimes.
Got a reputation for being a bit of an abrasive force.
A little bit of a contrarian.
For good or for evil. Wright stole a base earlier in this series, and Duda takes a strike, 1-1. You see the numbers from last year, but Lucas is going to get to play against some lefties, and if he shows he can hit them, he'll play every day.
Well, my thing for Lucas is just hold your head above water, you know, against left-handers. Mixing base hits, an occasional home run.
Wood gets ahead of him 1-2. And he hits the curveball out to left. Gomes is right there. And that's the first down. Wright goes back to first, 1 away. So 1 out and 1 on. Now Michael Kadire. Kadire worked the count full his first time up, and then blasted one into the seats in left field for his first home run as a Met. A 2-run shot, his second and third RBIs of the season. Bats here with 1 out and 1 on against Wood, who gave up only 16 home runs last year in 172 innings.
Still, I think you have to. We talked about this with Marlon Byrd a few seasons ago, and I was absolutely 100% wrong. I thought Byrd would have to get more rest at a little later age in his career. But I'm going to say it again with Kadire. I think at some point you're going to have to give him a day off, a week or every 10 days or something.
By the way, Byrd is 2 years older now, and he's still not taking days off. Now in Cincinnati. Wood again falls behind Kadire 2-0.
So AJ scream at him, let's go.
John Mayberry waiting on deck. Wood has already walked 2, and he's behind on Kadire 2-0 with Wright at first. And ball 3, and Pierzynski can't find it, and Wright scoots over to second base.
A little older catcher expecting that fastball on the outside part, and Wood just holds on to it too long. And David, nice job of expecting the ball to go by him. That's the only way you can advance, is that you have to think it's going to happen.
They score that a wild pitch, but that's got to be a pass ball.
It's a pass ball. It is glove.
Totally catchable ball. So a runner at second, 3-0 count. Now it's too high. So it becomes a moot point. 2 walks in the inning for Wood. 3 in the game. And the Mets have a couple of men on for Mayberry. Well, we gave you the numbers the other night when Mayberry started against Eric Stoltz. 165 point slugging percentage difference between his lifetime numbers against lefties versus righties. 533 against left-hand pitching, which is outstanding.
That's like a power hitter's range, right?
So Mayberry is going to get as many starts as the Mets can manage against left-handers. 2 on and 1 out, and he runs one on the inside corner. Does Wood. 0-1. Mayberry rifled a single to left his first time up. Kind of like when the Mets had Scott Hairston a few years ago.
Yeah.
You just plug him into the lineup as much as you can against left-handers to take advantage of those splits.
Scott loved that ball high, middle of the plate in, and in that year didn't miss any. He had 20 home runs.
20 home runs. Ball and a strike to Mayberry. Wood's looking a little frustrated out there.
Well, the problem you have when you have as many working parts is the catch-22 is that he's deceptive because of all those working parts, but when he's off, it's hard for him to get right.
What they've said, though, about Wood is that despite the fact that the delivery is complicated, it is, at least for him, it's repeatable. Yeah. But I would think there's got to be times, as you said, when it does get out of whack.
Well, imagine being a scout and saying, well,
yeah,
I just saw a guy that's striking out everyone, but I don't want you to look at him.
Hit hard down to third. Callaspo boots it. He'll try for the out at first, and he gets Mayberry by a stride. So Callaspo, who booted one last night, kicks another one, but manages to get an out as the runners advance to second and third.
Well, just like yesterday, kind of took his eye off the ball, kind of trying to be quick to second base. And just not looking that ball in, but able to get an out in this afternoon's game.
Well, the Mets were unable to turn a double play in the last half inning that kept an inning alive. Same thing here. That should have been a double play to end the inning. So we'll see if the Mets can cash it in with Anthony Recker, who walked his first time up. Right at third, Kadire at second with 2 down. Recker's first game of the season, and he whacks one down the right field line, foul. See Recker hitting too many balls to right field.
Well, the Mets have done a nice job in these first, well, now this is the 6th game, of taking advantage of miscues by the opponent. Maybe another one here.
It's gone both ways.
Yeah, it has.
And we talked about it last night. In this era of fewer runs being scored, every defensive mistake takes on much greater importance. Kind of like the way postseason games are often decided. Fastball strike, 0-2. The theory in postseason was always you have the better pitchers going, so the games are going to be lower scoring, and every mistake becomes crucial.
I mean, the play that'll be forgotten because of Bumgarner's great pitching is the panic play that turned that double play with Crawford. Biggest defensive play I've seen in some time in the post.
Now Wood ahead on Recker, 0-2. Just misses inside.
Well, a lot of fastballs in here to Recker. Let's see now after 3 of them if he counters with a little changeup away.
One-two. In the dirt with the fastball. 2-2. Wood trying to work around a couple of walks and what was scored a wild pitch here in the third. Exacerbated by a defensive miscue. Record trying to cash it in. Line center field. Eric Young has it measured. Almost went over his head, but he's able to snag it. And Wood sidesteps trouble in the third. Still 2-2 as Colon goes back to the mound. More than 3 runs in any game. What team did that previously to start the season? Good luck.
Yeah. In the entire history of the game?
Well,
how far back do we have?
The last team to do it, I think, is what we're looking for. The last team to do it before the Braves this year. Second time through the order for Bartolo Colon. Eric Young trying to butt his way on. Bartolo will have none of that. 1 out. And a hop, skip, and a jump by EY to avoid crashing into Duda. So 1 pitch and 1 out for Colon. Nifty fielding on his part. We check in with Steve Gelb. Steve?
Well, Gary, the Braves not the only show in town today. About 2 hours east of here, Augusta National. The Masters going on, final day. It's been playing in the Mets clubhouse all week long, as there are a lot of Mets players that are golf fans. Some of them pretty good golfers as well. None more so when you talk to a bunch of the guys than Dylan G. Dan Worthen told me today that if Dylan G was playing at Augusta right now, he'd probably shoot a 75. I was talking to Dylan about it, and he said, you know, he loved golf so much that actually when he was a sophomore in high school, he quit baseball to play on the golf team. The baseball coach very unhappy about this, so he made Dylan a deal. He told Dylan, you can go play golf, but you come back and you pitch for me 1 day a week. You don't need to practice, nothing. Just come pitch for me 1 day a week. Dylan took him up on that and then came back to baseball junior and senior year. And Dylan was telling me he was very burnt out by baseball after his freshman year. He actually credits that year away playing golf to make him realize his love for baseball and then come back to the game.
Quite an overlap, it seems, between baseball and golf.
You know, in my day, I think it was really one of the first teams was these Braves team in the 90s that would play golf all the time. Even on days they pitched, occasionally they would play golf. But in my day, it was frowned upon to play golf or bring your golf clubs on the road. It's just, they wouldn't let you do it.
Now, I know you're a very, very successful golfer. Did you start playing after your career was over, or did you start while you were playing?
No, I started playing after I was done. Yeah, and I mean, it makes it sound like I kind of was a natural. I wasn't a natural. I just lived on a golf course, so there was nothing else to do.
Lagares settles under Markakis' fly ball. A 5-pitch inning for Bartolo Colon. We head for the 4th on Masters Sunday. 2-2. Moves, plus find out how Nick Folk's wife plays a major role helping him prepare for the season on the season premiere of Jets Nation tonight at 7, only on SNY. Wilmer Flores socks one to deep left center field. Eric Young takes a look, but that ball's beyond his reach and short hopping the wall. Wilmer Flores has his first extra base hit of the season, a leadoff double here in the 4th.
Again, Gary, Mets hitters just jumping all over that first pitch. Wood's trying to get ahead, and they won't let him do it. Good swing there by Wilmer. Remember his last at bat, he missed that 3-2 fastball right down the middle, almost the same exact pitch. Didn't miss it this time.
That was with a couple of men on, this time leading off the inning. So just the 3rd hit and 18 at bats for Flores and his first extra base hit. So the Mets have the tie-breaking run at second, nobody out. Ruben Tejada the batter, and obviously you're not going to bunt here with Colon on deck. Tejada hit a shot off the pitcher's glove that deflected out to Simmons, who threw him out in the 2nd inning. First start of the season for Tejada. Last year played in 119 games, hit just .237, a career high 5 home runs, and a respectable .342 on base percentage. Now a backup infielder.
Well, he got into a real good way when the Mets pitchers were struggling to hit, and he was in that 8th slot, and he just kept taking the walks because they weren't going to pitch to him.
Then DeGrom came along.
He had to change it up.
Now you got DeGrom and Harvey, and Neese had a hit last night. G looked good getting the bunt down. Looks like a new page has been turned for the Mets pitchers with the bat. 0-2 to Tejada with Colon on deck. Ruben getting the start at second base today. There's nothing wrong with Daniel Murphy. Murph, of course, had the hamstring injury that limited him late in spring training. And as Terry Collins was explaining it today, and you've heard this before, when a guy hasn't played in a while and all of a sudden he's out there on the field taking his defensive stance 120 times a game. Little roller, that'll advance the runner. And Peterson throws out Tejada. Flores over to 3rd, but now it's left to Colon to try and get that run in. Just getting in that stance 120, 130 times a game get you sore.
It's like doing squats, you know, just with no weight except your own.
So Murph needed the day, and it gave them a chance to get Tejada in there. So now the infield comes in. Let's see what Colon can do with Flores at 3rd and 1 out. Bartolo has 5 career runs batted in. And he swings and lines a base hit and gives the Mets the lead. He shattered his bat, he lost his helmet, he dunked it into right field, and Colon has everybody smiling. The Mets lead 3-2.
No one has more fun playing this game than Bart. Fastball away, out of the strike zone by a foot. Almost becomes undressed as he swings at this pitch and somehow maneuvers it into right field.
There were a lot of moving parts, but it all worked in Colon's favor.
I mean, this isn't even out of Williamsport, that little dunk into right field. Very nice.
6th career run batted in for Colon, and he's given himself a 3-2 lead. And now we get to watch him run the bases with Lagares at the plate. Freeman playing behind him. See, that's what we need to see was.
Take off, get a stolen bag.
Base. We saw El Duque do that when he was 40-something years old. Not sure Colon is inclined in that direction. Chopper to short, should be a double play. The turn by Peterson, and Lagares is out. Side retired. 6-4-3 on the double play, but Bartolo Colon drives in the go-ahead run. Brings in Wilmer Flores. Bat goes one way, helmet goes another. Colon, master. DraftKings. Play daily fantasy baseball for free on DraftKings.com with the official daily fantasy partner of the New York Mets. Enter promo code NYM for free entry and claim your share of $300 million this Major League season. Well, it had been 10 years since Bartolo Colon drove in a run. Reason to celebrate, 2005. It's a long time between ribeye steaks. Freddie Freeman breaks his bat and flies one out to Mayberry in right field. And Colon has the first out in the home fourth. Your Coors Light Cold Hard Facts brought to you by Clean Crisp Coors Light. Only two pitchers among active players have more wins than Bartolo Colon. Tim Hudson and CC Sabathia. Mark Burley just won his 200th the other day.
You know, if Colon has a full year like he did last year, he's going to get very close to 3,000 innings pitched. Amazing career.
A.J. Pierzynski thinks about a bunt with David Wright playing way off the line and back. Pierzynski had a base hit into left center his first time up, just beyond the reach of Lagares. Colon deflects it. Wright comes in and has time to throw out Pierzynski. So now each pitcher has gotten an assist on a deflection. This one goes 1-5-3 for the second out.
With the way the shift was on, this was right at Flores. But you don't know that as a pitcher. You try to make every play. And luckily David was there to back up. Little spin on that, but easily done by David.
So 2 out and nobody on. Colon has really kept his pitch count low. 35 pitches through 3 2/3. Braves continue to be aggressive at the plate, making contact, putting it in play. Johnny Gomes had a key out in the second inning. Beat out the back end of a double play that set the stage for 2 runs. And how does that get measured in a positive light statistically?
Well,
it doesn't, right?
It doesn't. It's one of those, there's no metric for that.
Doesn't get factored into your wins above replacement.
No, they don't have a hustle metric yet.
One and two to go.
You know, almost everyone plays with their hits with their back foot on the back line, but it makes sense against Colon, who, you know, still throws hard enough, but is not a hard thrower. That Gomes moves up a little bit.
You know, when guys used to move around in the box a little bit, you'd think about moving up against a breaking ball pitcher, right? The theory was you try and get it before it breaks, but Colon doesn't throw a breaking ball.
Or here, when you had to face Phil Negro, a knuckleball pitcher, they'd move up in the box. I remember guys that would move in the box while you were in your windup, trying to look for something inside. Johnny Gomes has been around long enough that he doesn't have to stick to what everyone else is doing. Sticks to what works for him. Look at that front foot. His stride will be almost out of the front of the box.
Well, whatever he's got, it's worked for him against Colon. He's 7 for 19 with a couple of home runs against Bartolo. First full count of the afternoon for Colon.
Two different fastballs when you watch Colon pitch. So we always talk about he's throwing 89% fastballs, but it is 2 pitches. He throws that straight one or cuts it in, and he also has that running sinker that he throws in on the right-hander's hands.
He really had that one working against the Nats on opening day. 8th pitch of the at-bat coming to Gomes. Colon, who walks very few. Gomes right near the bag. Fair ball for Wright. High throw. Duda stays on the bag. Nicely done. Side retired. Duda needed all of that 6'5" to stretch up, pull down that throw, and keep his toe on the bag. Corner to corner. 1-2-3 inning for Colon.
start, 5-0. A lot of that attributed to the new culture around this team. You talk to a lot of people with the Braves, they say it's totally different from last year to this year, and a lot of that has to do with Johnny Gomes. Johnny Gomes brought to be a character guy with Fred Gonzalez a little bit before the game. Yeah, had some great Gomes already to change the culture here in Atlanta. The first thing came on opening day down in Miami as David Wright here strokes this one to the opposite field. So first runner on base for the Mets. But Johnny Gomes, part of a hitters meeting down in Miami on opening day, and the coach is going over the starting pitcher for that day, and they're saying, you know, this guy throws 60% fastballs, 20% sliders, what have you. And Gomes stands up at the end of the I care about, and that's 100%. Everyone on this team is going to run 100% down the first baseline. They're going to run 100% into second base, and they're going to try and take out players with double play balls by going in hard. He also, Freddie Gonzalez told another great story about being in the clubhouse with this guy, and Johnny Gomes comes into the clubhouse every day wearing his baseball pants. Freddie Gonzalez walked up to him one day and said, "What about your shorts, man?" He says, "I don't have shorts here. I'm a baseball player. I wear baseball pants." And what Freddie Gonzalez finished up his storytelling by saying was that, you know, you talk about the 5 tools, there's a 6th tool, and it's character. And singles up the middle.
So the Mets have the first 2 men on in the 5th inning. Wright and Duda with back-to-back base hits. Second hit of the day for Duda against the left-hander. And that will stand him in good stead. So the Mets looking to build on their 3-2 lead. We talked about the unquantifiables before. That's one too.
Well, I like the free spiritedness of it. You know, I mean, in today's game, I think everyone is trying to conform and be kind of the same. Johnny Gomes has never been like that. I remember when he was with Tampa and he didn't like what was going on. I think someone ran over the catcher in Tampa in a spring training game, and he ended up taking the shortstop out, and there was a huge fight, and he ended up being in the middle of that fight defending his teammates. That's the kind of guy he is.
Here's Michael Kadire, who put his imprint on this game in the first inning, hitting his first home run as a Met, a 2-run shot. Drew a walk in the 3rd, so Kadire looking for a good day and on a straight line path to one today. That's now with 7 hits on the afternoon. They had a season high 10 hits in their last game in Washington, the game that Harvey pitched on Thursday, but held to 3 hits last night.
Dyer's having some nice swings off Wood so far.
Well, they've got bullpen action going now for the Braves with Wood struggling. Juan Jaime is the large right-hander.
Haven't seen many breaking pitches from Wood today. It was interesting to hear Dylan G last night after the game. He said, "Boy, I didn't throw any breaking pitches. I really should have." Wood'll maybe have the same regret after this game.
He's ahead on Kadire 1-2. And he misses with a fastball 2-2. Well, that lesson is one that needs to be spread around, right? Rafael Montero the other night threw 36 straight fastballs, I think it was.
That's going to have to be a work in progress for both the pitcher and the catcher. Darno is going to have to realize that also.
Changeup struck him out, and Wood gets Kadire. 4th strikeout for Wood. That's the first out of the inning.
Well, one of the first good changeups here thrown by Wood, down and on the corner.
So 1 away. John Mayberry comes up for the 3rd time. Mayberry single to left in the 1st, grounded out in the 3rd. Right at second, Duda at first with 1 out. Popped it up. Freeman in foul ground. And that's the second out. So Mayberry first pitch swinging. Fouls out to first, and now Wood with a chance to get through the inning unscathed if he can get through Anthony Recker. Recker came up with 2 in scoring position and 2 out in the third inning and hit a bullet to center field that was caught. Came up with a man on and 2 out of the first and drew a walk. So he's had 2 quality at bats so far today. Still looking for his first hit. Recker pops this one up, and Wood's going to get out of the inning. On comes Markakis to make the call, and the side retired. Mets get back-to-back hits to start the 5th, but do not score. Halfway through, 3-2 New York. Colon gave up a couple of runs in the second, but gets credit for driving in a run. First time in 10 years, deserves special note. And he goes back to the mound for the bottom of the 5th to face the lower third of the Braves order. This is the part of the lineup that hurt him in the second. Alberto Callaspo singled to center. Andrelton Simmons followed with a 2-run triple. And Callaspo swings and drives one to right. Mayberry going over and snags the liner for the first out. And that's 8 in a row now retired by Colon.
So Bart's next hit is in 2025.
Next RBI.
Next RBI hit.
Well, he had been 0 for his last 37 before that hit, going back to last year. And 0 for the last 10 years on the RBI chart. So if he's still playing in 2025, I'm sure there's an RBI waiting for him.
Wouldn't bet against him.
Here's Simmons, who had a long triple to left center to drive in a pair. And takes a fastball for a strike. Well, Alex Wood looked like he might not survive that top of the 5th inning, but he's now out on deck after a nice recovery. Slowed down to left, chasing Kadire back, and he won't get it. Another extra base hit for Simmons. Andrelton Simmons, a triple his first time up, and now a 1-out double.
Well, I think we're going to look back at the end of the season and we're going to see, wow, the maturation of Andrelton Simmons, and we saw it in early April. I mean, this is not the same hitter we've seen the last couple of years for this Braves team. Line drives all over the place here in Turner Field.
Andrelton Simmons last year a .244 hitter with 7 home runs. Hit 17 the year before, got a little home run happy, but he has bought into the program here. He's gone line to line in this series. And he's got 4 extra base hits in the 3 games. Now Woods swings and fouls one back. Pretty good cut. 0-1. So that's the 4th hit given up by Colon, and 2 of them have been extra base hits to the number 8 hitter. And if Simmons keeps swinging the bat like that, he won't be the 8 hitter much longer. How often do you see Bartolo throw a ball in the dirt? That happens maybe once every 2 or 3 starts.
Yeah, the catchers are in a rocking chair when they're catching him. Whatever they call it, he usually hits the glove. Wood looks pretty comfortable in the batter's box, trying to return the favor to Bartolo.
His numbers are Colon-like.
But it's a decent swing.
So you're saying the process has been good, the results not so good.
The lefty thrower, the righty swinger.
A lot of those around. Zach Wheeler from the other side. Yeah.
Is Mike Minor a right-handed hitter too? Mike Minor, the pitcher that's on the DL right now.
One-two from Colon. Swing and a miss. He gets it with a high fastball. 4th strikeout for Colon. 2nd time he's gotten Wood, and now there are 2 out. Speaking of Minor, the Braves were hoping that Mike Minor might be ready to rejoin their rotation. If not soon, at least soon-ish, within a month. But now they say he's got more shoulder pain. He's going back to Florida to resume his rehab. So it looks like Eric Stoltz is going to stay in that rotation for the longer term.
Minor's one of their bright young stars.
Here's Eric Young with a runner at 2nd and 2 out. Young tried to bunt his way on. Colon threw him out his last time up. Bartolo chases Simmons back.
Think of all the pitchers that they've lost recently, from Venters to Flaherty. I'm talking about arm injuries. Brandon Beachy, Medlin.
Fly ball center field, easy for Lagares. And that retires the side. So Colon gives up a double to Simmons, but leaves him stranded to keep the lead. 3-2 Mets after 5. Two pitches through 5 innings, and he has his first RBI in 10 years. Michael Kadire, first home run as a Met. Which is the bigger headline?
Well, that was interesting, the communication between Freddie Gonzalez and Alex Wood after that at bat where Wood struck out. I mean, there was a day when managers would not speak to pitchers about offense at all, but Freddie spent a lot of time there with Wood.
Wilmer Flores leading off against Wood in the 6th inning. Flores drilled a long double to left center and scored the go-ahead run in the 4th. Maybe that will get him going. His first extra base hit of the season. Wood's given up 7 hits over the first 5 innings and walked 3, so he's had a lot of traffic behind him. Mets have left 6 runners aboard in the first 5 innings. Ruben Tejada on deck, and then the sweet swinging Bartolo Colon. And there's a strike, 2-2. Off the corner, and Flores works the count full.
Close pitch here. But good call by the home plate umpire. Just off the corner. Marvin Hudson.
And that's on the inside corner. Strike 3 called. So Wood couldn't get the call on the outside corner. Came inside and picks up his 5th strikeout. And we check in with the studio. Gary Apple standing by for a game break, brought to you by Honda. And of course the Phillies will be the Mets opponent tomorrow for the Citi Field home opener. Mets will face Aaron Harang, who had a great game against the Mets early in the season here in Atlanta last year. Pop up tracked by Peterson, and he has it in foul ground to retire Tejada. Well, now Bartolo Colon will come to bat. We'll see what he can do for an encore after picking up this in the 4th. He was smiling almost before he made contact.
I think he smiles all the time because of helmet coming off. It hurt his fingers.
Broken bat, dropped helmet, RBI. He shoots this one behind first, and Freddie Freeman can't make the sliding catch. Ball comes off his bat funnier than anybody else.
Well, it comes off your bat funny if you hit the ball off the end of your bat consistently.
And that ball just died as Freeman tried to track it. Long tries the other way, and now it's 0-2. How many bats does a pitcher have?
I think I only had a couple, maybe 2, 3 at the most.
Strike 3 called, so Colon is caught looking. No heroics this time for Bart, but he'll take a 3-2 lead back to the mound for the bottom of the 6th. BMW centers. By New York Lottery, play the Wheel of Fortune scratch-off from the New York Lottery for a chance to win up to $1 million. And by Hospital for Special Surgery, the official hospital of the New York Mets. Well, tomorrow afternoon, it's the home opener at Citi Field. Our coverage begins at 11:30 in the a.m. The whole crew will be out there with the pregame coverage from the plaza outside the Jackie Robinson Rotunda. And Keith will make an appearance, and we'll be there, and it's going to be an exciting day.
We haven't completely stole it from Wimbledon. It was breakfast at Wimbledon. We're brunch at SNY.
Jace Peterson fouls back the first offering from Cologne in the bottom of the sixth.
I usually get there a little earlier on opening day just because there's so many folks around, just to even inside the building to get your spot and hold it.
Well, plus you're seeing everybody at the ballpark for the first time. We've been on the road for the first week of the season, so you have to say all your hellos.
How you do?
People you haven't seen since September.
How do you do? Yep.
There's just so much more going on opening day than at any other time, and that's why the Mets gave Cologne the opening day start at Washington, because he has such aplomb. Strike three called. Peterson caught looking for Cologne's fifth strikeout.
Peterson's never seen that pitch from Cologne. That's the one he starts right at his armpits and bends it the other way over the middle of the plate. Go sit down. He had shock on his face.
Now Nick Markakis. Markakis has struck out and flied to center 0 for 2. And Cologne pours in a strike.
See the shift that they have on from Markakis. David Wright, his ready position, takes a little hop, skip, and a little bit to the left side. Everyone has their own little way. Some come straight in. Some people just stand in place, don't really get in a ready position. Jose Reyes was like that. But Wright always a little skip, a jump, and a little to his left.
Do you think he's conscious that he moves to his left?
No, I just noticed something that was interesting, is that he went to his left with 2 pitches, and then the pitch changed and he stayed where he was. So maybe just trying to anticipate where the ball is going to go. That's good for an infielder. I'm saying, depending on the pitcher, the pitch he chooses, the hitter, you can put that all in your brain, and you can figure out the better chance, is he going to hit it to my right or to my left.
Now, with David playing so far off the line, he has a shot of seeing the signs.
Yes.
But when he's playing his normal third base position,
sometimes you can get him relayed by the shortstop. I know Keith used to always have him relayed by Wally Backman in the day. And how do they do that? Sometimes they do it with a whistle. If it's a breaking pitch, hey Keith, simple as that.
I hope the other team doesn't break the code. Something so sophisticated as that. One-two from Cologne to Markakis, and it's low and in.
Well, a little movement there by David. I think there's an anticipation, maybe on more, Gary, on where the pitch is going to be, inside or out.
Because with Cologne, you pretty much know what the pitch is going to be anyway. Just a matter of location.
This is the pitch in. Yeah, a little to his left.
Toward the middle of the diamond, Flores flashes over. Good defensive positioning, takes care of Markakis. And there are 2 out, so Cologne rolling right along.
So David got in the ready position, favoring left, and the ball was to him to his left. So that's what infielders try to do to get the cheat a little bit.
So 2 out and nobody on. And now Cologne will take on Freddie Freeman, who's 0 for 2, hit a comebacker and broke his bat and flied out to right field. Cologne still keeping that very low pitch count. 2 out in the 6th inning, just 63 pitches. Cody Martin, the right-hander, up in the Atlanta bullpen. Alex Wood has thrown 89 pitches through his 6 innings, so he may be done. Wood threw 85 in his first start. And Freeman hits one to dead center. Back goes Lagares onto the warning track to make the catch right up against the fence. Freeman got under it just a little bit, and Colon survives the 6th with a 1-run lead. Bartolo Colon's RBI single with the 4th has stood up, and the Mets have a 3-2 lead heading to the 7th. Let's answer our Verizon trivia question. We asked which was the last team before the Braves this year to win their first 5 games, not allowing more than 3. Well, that was your 0-2 Giants. So there's that.
0-2 Giants. Trying to think who was on that staff.
Lagares rolls over one, and Simmons with the easy toss gets him out. 3rd time in a row, actually the 4th time in a row that Lagares has grounded to Simmons. Not the best place to hit the ball if you're playing the Braves.
And 5 outs.
Yeah, walking on a double play. So 1 out and nobody on. We showed the action in the Braves bullpen and speculated that Wood might be out, but Wood is still in there and will stay in to face David Wright, who is the best hitter on the planet against left-hand pitching.
I think he'll face Wright and Duda, and if he gets in trouble, he won't face Kadire.
David 1 for 2 and a walk today, and he hits one up the middle. A dive by Peterson, but he can't make the play, and Wright's got another hit. So you live dangerously when you leave your lefty in to face David Wright, and David's now 2 for 3 and a walk. And so the Mets with a runner at first and 1 out, and Duda coming up.
Well, nice try by Peterson. He gets his glove on it, but just underneath his body.
So now it's Duda, who's already got a couple of hits today against the left-hander. He dunked one at the left center and scored a run in the 1st. He banged one up the middle for a hit in the 5th. And as has been the case in this series, the Braves do not overshift against Duda with a lefty on the mound, figuring he's more likely to hit the ball up the middle or to left field. So they play him more straight up. Lucas now 4 for 8 in this series.
I don't know about you, Gary, but Duda looks like against the left-handers so far, he's a little closer to the plate than he is against the right-handers. I mean, his back toe is almost on the line. Now, I'm not talking about the back line because it is, but almost on the line in front of the plate.
And why do you suppose he would do that?
Well, I think what he's trying to do is because that breaking ball that he swings at that he can't reach, that's on the outside corner, He's trying to give himself a chance at that pitch.
And not worried as much about being jammed.
You get jammed. He's so big and strong. You get jammed like he did in his first at bat, still can result in a single.
2-0 curveball for a strike. Another curve, and this time they say he went around. Boy, that's a tough call for the home plate umpire to make.
Just I know we saw it earlier in the season with Torrey Hunter and Joe West. Okay, maybe he did go, maybe he didn't, but I think that's a call that should be left to the third base umpire. Home plate umpire should check.
I think it was the right call.
Yeah,
but you know, there's really no reason for the home plate umpire to be making that call.
It should be almost automatic. That's why they should make it automatic.
So now it's 3-2. We'll see if Wright's in motion. David has had a stolen base earlier in this series. 3-2 with one out, not going, and Duda goes down on the 3-2 curveball. So Wood fell behind and then gave him a steady diet of breaking stuff. That's the second out, and that's going to be all for Alex Wood.
Well, starts right at him. That's the best breaking ball Wood has thrown all afternoon, and it gets Duda.
So Wood will exit after picking up his 7th strikeout of the day, and they'll bring in the right-hander to face Kadire. Call to the bullpen brought to you by Verizon. 3-2 Mets in the 7th. We'll be right back. Break down this weekend's Mets Braves and Yankees Red Sox series on Loudmouths tomorrow at 5:30, only on SNY.
Oh, nice new animation.
They're breaking stuff again.
I hope that's not a condemnation of the show there.
It's just kind of showing the attitude they have. They just don't care. They're going to break stuff and let somebody else worry about it.
Okay, all right.
Rookie right-hander Cody Martin has been very good for the Braves so far. He'll face Michael Kadire with a man on and 2 out.
Cody Martin, Gonzaga University. He's a guy that was a starting pitcher in their minor leagues, and they're trying to work him into being a reliever. So far, so good.
25-year-old right-hander facing Kadire, and he misses high for ball 1. Martin pitched in the opening game of the series on Friday night and pitched a 1-2-3 inning. He got Kadire on a ground ball.
Braves have not given up any runs by the bullpen. That's got to end sometime.
One would think. 18 innings, no runs. over the first 5 games. It is a bullpen that has a nice balance of the veterans, Jason Grilli, Jim Johnson, and the youngsters, the untested Cody Martin and Brandon Caniff in particular in this series.
Nice to have those options. Grilli's been their closer kind of, but Johnson closed the game last night.
2-0 to Kadire, and he got a 2-0 pitch to hit and fouled it off. Of course, the irony of it is that there was so much hand-wringing a week ago today when the Braves made the deal and sent Craig Kimbrell to the Padres, that the Braves were giving up, particularly as far as their ability to close games, and so far over the first week of the season just the opposite has happened. Your T-Mobile Game Changer, brought to you by T-Mobile, and that's what the Braves bullpen has done this year. The only National League bullpen that has not allowed a run.
Only 5 hits in those 18 innings.
8 base runners in 18 innings with 21 strikeouts. It's pretty overwhelming. Jim Johnson got the save last night. 2-2 coming, and Kadire takes strike 3 call. Got him looking at a fastball. So Martin comes in, falls behind 2-0, and comes back to get Kadire to get the Braves through the top of the 7th. Stretch time with the Mets up 3-2.
letting down your teammates, and I think that probably means just as much, if not more, than hurting yourself.
Mets captain David Wright responding to the rather distressing news yesterday that Henry Mejia has been suspended for 80 games for testing positive for a banned steroid, and that seemed to be the general reaction of the clubhouse. It's like, what did you go and do this for? You're hurting all of us.
Well, you heard two kind of comments. One, the party line. Well, we have a drug testing program in place and it works, and you've got to take your punishment. You had the other comment by Henry. I didn't know, I took it. That's getting tired. People are fed up with that. And the third from David there, and Terry Collins said it also, is that at some point you're all pulling on the same rope, and if you're not pulling on the same rope, we got no time for you. So it's disappointing. It's disappointing for Henry. I saw him as getting a lot of tough outs here over the course of the summer, that's not going to happen at least for 80 games.
And I don't know what his role was going to be this year eventually, whether Mejia was going to retain the closer's role, whether Familia was going to take it over, whether Bobby Parnell is going to come back and reclaim the closer's role. But this makes it certain that he will not be closing games for the Mets this year, because even when he comes back, assuming he does, the second half of the year, the fact that he would not be eligible for the postseason, you're not going to set it up where he's closing only to have him not available if you get to October.
And the other kind of emotional part about it is you say that he had a lot with those 24 guys in the locker room. Remember, his best friend in that locker room was Familia, and they had a tight bond, and now he will not be around.
And Jerry's was very emotional. He heard the news yesterday, and you can understand how he would be feeling. Familia now in that closer's role, at least for the time being, and we'll see how he's able to run with it. A.J. Pierzynski leads off and fouls one away. To me, the larger question, and this is the one that baseball's got to contend with, is why all of a sudden have 4 players tested positive for an old school steroid that everybody thought that nobody would dare risk using anymore. Grounded into the shift, long run to go for Tejada, but he gets there and makes the play on Pierzynski for the first out.
Well, to me, it sounds like maybe someone had thought they found a masking agent for that older steroid, and Major League Baseball now has a test for it. So I think that's why it's all coming out all at the same time.
And you wonder if there was some connection between the 4, if they had the same supplier.
Yeah,
is it possible we're going to hear more of these stories over the next coming weeks?
I wouldn't be surprised if you'll hear some more names.
The testing goes on fairly constantly. Johnny Gomes steps in with 1 out. Terry Collins was saying before the game that the Mets had the testers in their clubhouse right at the end of spring training, and they were back again in Washington less than a week later. So it's year-round random testing, always a surprise, and anybody is liable to be tested at any time. And unless you're just playing Russian roulette, it's hard to understand why someone would knowingly take a steroid that's easily detectable.
And then when you hear a comment that's usually written by a player or a player's agent, what I don't understand is that in this day and age, players they know exactly every single second what's going into their body. So to say that you don't know, just irritates you. You did it, pay for it, but don't play us as fools.
Johnny Gomes is 0 for 2. Bartolo Colon's retired 6 in a row. And Gomes gets a hold of one deep down the left field line, right toward the pole, and it's out of here. Johnny Gomes ties the game with his first home run as an Atlanta Brave. So the Braves get even on Gomes' 3rd career home run against Bartolo Colon in just 21 at-bats.
Well, that was a veteran versus a veteran who's been pounded in all game, who finally looked in a little bit and was able to keep this ball fair. The one thing about that pitch that Colon threw there, didn't have as much downward movement as it did earlier, and that short, sweet swing of Gomes keeps that ball fair. That home run trot, can't really call it a trot. He gets around there.
It was a wait and watch and then a run. So the Braves have come back to tie for a second time. Mets were up 2-0. Braves tied it. Colon's RBI put the Mets in front. Now Gomes' home run has tied it. Alberto Callaspo's hit the ball hard twice, singled to center and lined out to right. Colon should have plenty left in the tank, only at 72 pitches with 1 out in the 7th. Gave up a home run on opening day to Bryce Harper. That was the only run that he allowed against the Nats. Callaspo takes the one the other way, and he's got a base hit. Tracked by Kadire. Callaspo slams on the brakes, and he'll hold with a single. So now the go-ahead run is on base. Callaspo's second hit of the game.
Well, pretty good hitting here by Callaspo. A little cutter, inside-out swing, and just drops it in front of Cuddyer. Good hustle by Cuddyer to get over this baseball, because Callaspo was thinking too. Just that short stroke.
They'll run for Callaspo. Phil Goslin, who drove in the winning runs on Friday night, will pinch run for Callaspo.
Well, Danny Worthen's out to speak to Bartolo, and I think what he's addressing is the Simmons factor, because in this series, Mets have not been able to get him out. He was an easier out last season, but obviously not in this series.
Now, Simmons, throughout the series, has been hitting the ball to right field, but today he's pulled the ball twice for a double and a triple. There's Goslin, the pinch runner, carrying the go-ahead run at first. And Bart doing what he does, just playing catch with himself.
That's right.
Nothing much phases him. Simmons, a double and a triple today, 4 extra base hits in 9 at-bats in this series. Braves now with 6 hits on the afternoon. Kelly Johnson has come out on deck to pinch hit behind Simmons. And he slugs one out to left, but Cuddyer has this one lined up, and that's the second out. So Simmons jumping on the first pitch again. And Colon gets a big out, and now they'll take on Kelly Johnson with 2 away. Kelly Johnson got the start last night at left field and went 2 for 3. Johnson last year made his tour of the American League East. Played for the Yankees, played for the Red Sox, played for the Orioles. Didn't hit much any of those places. Wound up hitting .215 for the year. Buddy Carlisle, the right-hander. Jerry Blevins, the left-hander, up in the Mets bullpen. So Goslin, the pinch runner at first with 2 out. Kelly Johnson, the batter. And Colon misses away with a changeup, ball 1.
Goslin's one of those guys, never stole too many bases in the minor leagues, so got some speed, but not a stolen base threat like Eric Young.
Young would be next if Johnson can keep the inning going. 3-3, bottom of the 7th. And Kelly grounds one weakly to Tejada. And Colon able to avoid further damage, but the Braves get even. Johnny Gomes with his first home run as a Brave takes Colon deep to get it even. 3-3 as we head to the 8th. There's some Met fans who've made their way to Atlanta, hoping the Mets can escape here with a victory, but they're in a 3-3 battle as they head to the 8th. Phil Goslin, who pinch ran, stays in the game at third base, and the new pitcher, Juan Jaime.
And started his career, was signed by the Washington Nationals, signed as a free agent here in Atlanta. Made the bullpen out of spring training.
And with a right-hander in the game, Curtis Granderson will bat for John Mayberry, and Curtis takes a strike. Granderson held out of the lineup today for the first time this season. Went 0 for 3 last night, just 16 to start the year, but has drawn 6 walks over the first 5 games. Leading off here in the top of the 8th. And Jaime misses well outside, 1-1. Juan Jaime missed 2 full seasons with Tommy John surgery in 2010, 2011, so he's had to work his way back from there. Made his big league debut last season. Now 27 years old. And Granderson takes a fastball for a strike. 1-2.
Throws that ball straight over the top. Just catches that outside corner on the knees.
Anthony Recker on deck, and then Wilmer Flores for the Mets in the 8th. Mets 3 runs, 8 hits. The Braves 3 runs, 6 hits.
Freddie Gonzalez, old school. Both first baseman and third baseman on the lines. Protecting against the extra base hit.
And the changeup off the plate, 3-2. That's really odd to me because normally against, and you're playing that third baseman halfway between second and third, and now you're going to shift him all the way over on the line just because of the time of game. That's tie, ball 4, and Granderson draws another walk, leading off an inning. It's been an odd start for Curtis. He hasn't hit a lick, but he's been getting on base via the bases on balls.
You talk about that third baseman on the line, Gary. Sometimes the metrics meets the old school. You know, and the old school wins.
So now let's see how the Mets play this with Recker, a guy who's capable of hitting the ball out of the ballpark. Would you bunt with him here with the 7 and 8 hitters coming up?
I think you got to play for a run here.
Well, the Braves aren't looking for it. They've got Goslin very deep and along the line at third. Recker might be able to beat one out if he lays one down there, but he's swinging and takes a strike.
Terry Collins looking for 2 runs instead of 1. The powerful Recker.
Well, Recker's had a habit late in games, and I'm sure that's what's on Terry's mind. Almost all of his home runs have come to put the Mets in front or tie games, most of them late in ball games.
Curtis of a few seasons ago, you'd send him and steal a base. Jaime is taking forever to deliver the ball to the plate. I'm sure he's getting that from Tom Goodwin right now.
Granderson just 8 stolen bases last year, none so far this year. And there he goes. The pitch is high. The throw by Pierzynski not in time. So the Mets take advantage of the slow time to the plate of Jaime. And Granderson has his first steal of the year.
Well, it was great to see there. One, he gets a good jump. Pierzynski gets a perfect ball to throw. Well, one hops the shortstop Simmons. What was interesting is that when Granderson, before he stole that base, went to first base, Tom Goodwin came over and whispered in his ear. Goodwin, of course, keeps a stopwatch on first, had the time of Jaime, and said, listen, well, I didn't know if he said that, but he could have said, this is a chance to steal. Time is bad.
So now it's 2-1 to Recker. Trying to get that runner over to third at least. Takes it low and away, knocked down by Pierzynski, 3-1. So the Mets, who've taken the lead twice in this game, only to see the Braves tie, trying to poke their nose in front again. And what's your approach here if you're Recker on 3-1? You're trying to go to right field?
No, you're trying to hit it hard. He's got that kind of power.
Wilmer Flores on deck. 3-1, and it's outside, ball 4, and the Mets have the first 2 men on in the 8th. So Jaime issues back-to-back walks. Not a shocker. Last year in his 12 big league innings, he walked 9 batters. And now he's walked the first 2 hitters to face him here. And Wilmer Flores comes up. Now what do you do strategically? Well, the Braves still have not allowed a run out of their bullpen, but that's certainly in jeopardy here in the 8th.
Like I said, that's going to happen at some point. Why not today?
Well, you got Flores at the plate, Tejada on deck, but a lot of left-hand hitters in the dugout. You got Murphy, and Neuenhuis. You've already used Granderson in this inning. So we'll see how Terry decides to play this one. Granderson at second, Recker at first, and nobody out. And he is bunting and gets it down very nicely. Jaime has to go to first with it, and the sacrifice successful, 1-4. And now the Mets with runners at second and third and one out.
Well, good technique here by Flores. Deadens the ball, moves the runners over. I find it interesting that Tejada's going to hit.
Tejada looked over his shoulder, looked back at the dugout to see if he was going to be pinch hit for. He was told, get up it, take the turn at bat. Ruben's been pretty good late at games at getting runs in, but he's not even going to get a chance here. They're going to walk him intentionally. Daniel Murphy is on deck to pinch hit, and you have to think that the Braves will bring in a left-hander at that point.
Yeah, Avilan, if he can pitch 3 days in a row.
Andrew McKirahan, the lefty, is up in the bullpen. He has yet to make his major league debut. It's hard to believe that Freddie Gonzalez would bring him in a tie game, bases loaded, nobody out, to make his major league debut.
But he's going to. I mean, that's what's going to happen.
Mets saw McKirahan during the spring. He was a Rule 5 draft pick in camp with the Marlins. Marlins put him through waivers, and the Braves claimed him. And McKirahan is the guy who may be coming in to face Daniel Murphy in a moment.
Well, Jaime, with the walks, you can't even trust him to pitch with the bases loaded, so McKirahan's got to be coming in.
So Tejada gets the intentional pass. Bases loaded, nobody out. The Mets poised to try and regain the lead. And here comes Freddie Gonzalez, and he is going to go to the rookie left-hander. So quite a spot for Andrew McKirahan to make his major league debut. Tie game, bases loaded, nobody out. Call to the bullpen brought to you by Verizon. Mets try to take the lead in the 8th. We'll be right back. And comes into a tight spot to make his big league debut.
What a road he has traveled with the Cubs last year. 10 saves and lower level professional baseball. Then Rule 5 for Miami. Miami waived him, and he was picked up by the Atlanta Braves, or sent back, picked up by the Atlanta Braves.
Daniel Murphy will be the pinch hitter, batting for the pitcher. Murph went 0 for 3 last night, held out of the lineup today. And now batting with the bases loaded and 1 out. Granderson at third, Recker at second, and Tejada at first. In a 3-3 game in the top of the 8th.
If you're the hitter, you got to make him throw a strike. I mean, this is a young kid, first appearance, bases loaded. Make him throw a strike first.
And he does.
Very nice.
And McKirahan gets ahead. Well, Murph has done well getting runners in from third with less than 2 out. Keep in mind, though, there's a very powerful arm in right field in Nick Markakis. Granderson the lead run at third. And Murphy takes another fastball for a strike, and now he's down to the count 0-2. McKirahan, 25 years old. Pitched in Single-A and Double-A last year in the Cubs organization. And Murphy able to slash one foul.
Well, he throws hard.
95 on that last fastball.
Reminds me of Seagrass, the young left-hander in St. Louis. Brzezinski having him nod like it's not going to be a fastball. I bet you it'll be another one.
And Murphy trying to time it, able to foul off another one. Took the first 2, fouled off the last 2. Granderson opened the inning with a walk and stole second. Record then walked. And after Flores sacrificed, Tejada was intentionally walked. So Jaime faced 4 batters, walked 3 of them, and leaves the Mets for McKirahan to try and clean up. And Brzezinski is going to go out for a conversation.
Well, you know, he realizes this youngster. He wants to make sure they're on the same page. And at some point, you got to throw him a different look, I would think, maybe a breaking ball. But I think AJ's probably thinking, I don't know, will he hold on to too long? Wild pitch is not our friend here.
Juan Lagares, the on-deck batter, so you have to figure this is going to be McKirahan's only man. 0-2 to Daniel Murphy. And he flies one out to left center. That'll get the run in. Over goes Gomes to get it. Tagging at third is Granderson, and the Mets go back in front. Moving up to third is Recker, and the Mets have a 4-3 lead. Daniel Murphy gets the job done behind in the count. Delivers a sacrifice fly as a pinch hitter, and the Mets have a 1-run lead in the 8th.
What a good at-bat by Murph. Think about it. He's never seen this kid, or not seen him in that kind of action right there. And stays in there and didn't take too much. Just get the ball in the air and deep enough easily for Grandy to score. I was worried about Recker coming from second. If the throw, you know how that throw can beat you with the tag before the runner crosses home.
I think Recker saw Gomes back on his heels, decided to take that risk. So now first and third and 2 out for Lagares, who's hit 4 ground balls to shortstop today. One of them into a double play. I would recommend highly that anybody playing the Braves find a different place to hit the ball.
So first run given up by the bullpen.
Run charge to Jaime, who's responsible for the 2 men still on base. Lagares gets jammed and pops one up. Retreating is Peterson, and he makes the play to end the inning. But for the 3rd time today, the Mets have gone in front for Bartolo Colon, and they lead at 4-3 in the middle of the 8th. TV featuring pitch-by-pitch coverage, player cards, and in-depth stats. Check out SNY Game Day on SNY.TV, your online home of all things New York sports. That's with a one-run lead as we go to the bottom of the eighth. Curtis Granderson, who got the rally started and scored the go-ahead run, stays in to play right field. And Carlos Torres will come in to try to protect the lead for Bartolo Colon.
You see Torres' numbers on last season year by far in the major leagues.
Last outing was Thursday. Worked a 1-2-3 inning in Washington behind Matt Harvey. He'll face the top of the batting order for the Braves in the eighth. That's Eric Young, Jace Peterson, and Nick Markakis. So Colon threw only 77 pitches through 7 before leaving for a pinch hitter. He allowed 3 runs on 6 hits, no walks, 5 strikeouts, and a home run. And in line to go 2-0 on the year if the bullpen can get him 6 outs. Young is 0 for 3, and he takes ball 1 from Torres. That's bullpen has performed well, even in the absence of Mejia, who now will be absent for a far longer time than the Mets had thought. Bobby Parnell and Vic Black are both getting pretty close to being sent out on rehab assignments. As Young pops one up near the plate, should be easy for Recker. 1 out. Looks like Parnell, coming back from Tommy John surgery, is going to pitch in the Florida State League. They think maybe Black will be sent elsewhere, but both are in the 2 to 3 week range away from being ready to pitch in the big leagues, and neither one is going to be rushed as a consequence of Mejia's suspension.
Do you think Black's a little ahead of Parnell, though, because he's going to be pitching in a higher league? Does that give you any indication? Or
you know what I think it is with Vic is he had shoulder weakness, and it's a matter of just building him up and getting him ready to go. With Parnell, it's more of the protocol coming back from Tommy John. You know, where you can't rush that.
Also, you can put Vic in Double-A in Binghamton, so if he is good to go, he's close.
Well, the Mets going to be in New York for the next 2 weeks. Up the middle, Flores with a diving stop. Can he throw him out? Not in time. Now Flores doing a good job keeping it from going up the middle, but just couldn't pop up in time to get the speedy Jace Peterson.
Well, good job, though, by Flores. Good range. And one hop's this throw. That one hop allowed the speedy Peterson to beat it out.
Well, you got the left-hand hitters coming up, as it looks like that was the correct call. So Terry Collins is going to take the ball from Carlos Torres, and he'll go to the left-hander Jerry Blevins to try and get the 2 big lefties out with Markakis and Freeman due up. Mets trying to protect a 1-run lead in the 8th. Torres exits. Blevins comes in. We'll be right back to Atlanta.
Well, this sets up perfectly for Jerry. He's going to be facing the left-handed Nick Markakis, and then the best hitter for the Braves, Freddie Freeman.
Came in Friday night, struck Markakis out looking. Tying run Peterson at first with one out as Markakis steps in. And Blevins takes a check on Peterson. Markakis is 0 for 3 today, 2 for 12 in this series, and 2 for 10 in his career against Jerry Blevins. Of course, the number is pretty even, lefty and righty against Markakis in his career. Of course, the Braves are plenty familiar with Blevins, having watched him last year pitching for the Nationals. And Markakis plenty familiar with Blevins from their time in the American League. Blevins acquired late in spring training by the Mets after it appeared they had a dearth of left-hand relief pitching, with Josh Edgen going down with Tommy John surgery. Now the Mets have 3 lefties in that pen. And letter high strike, 1-1 to Markakis. But Blevins, of the 3, Alex Torres and Sean Gilmartin being the others, is the one who is more the situational, get a left-hand hitter out kind of guy.
He's got the big breaking ball. That's the difference between he and Gilmartin and Torres.
Gilmartin's looked great so far in his 2 appearances. 1-1 to Markakis. And he reaches for it and fouls it off. 1-2.
Blevins is that left-hander that if you're a left-handed hitter, you don't know what he's going to throw. He could throw you a 3-2 breaking ball.
Now Blevins ahead on Markakis, 1-2. Curveball, did he go? They check at third. He went around, strike 3. Markakis punched out by Blevins for the 2nd time in this series. 2 away.
Well, unlike Lucas Duda, Marvin Hudson, the home plate umpire, checked with Field and Colbreth at third base, but the Mets get the call. Good breaking ball in the dirt. You get ahead. That's what you want to do. And Markakis went too far, much to the Braves fans' chagrin.
So now 2 out of the inning, and a tougher match for Blevins as he takes on Freddie Freeman. Freddie just missed his last time up, sending Lagares back to the fence in center field. 0 for 3 today, but 3 for 6 in his career against Blevins. Tying run at first and 2 out. And Freeman takes a curveball for a strike. Boy, that's such a nasty pitch to a left-hand batter.
Yeah, they just got to stay with it. I mean, any ball that starts right at you, it's hard to stay with as Jason Grilli gets up.
That's playing no doubles in the outfield, very deep against Freeman. Trying to keep that tying run from scoring. And another good curve by Blevins, this one away, and now it's 0-2.
Big sweeper, we call this. I mean, that ball starts behind him and ends up off the plate away.
So now Blevins with the 2-strike advantage. Peterson at first and 2 out. He's running, and Blevins hasn't picked off. Tough one for Duda to throw, and Peterson is safe at second. Well, Blevins picks off Peterson, but he threw one that Duda had to reach almost into the dirt for, and that cost the Mets the play.
Well, what Peterson is doing here, because Freeman's behind 0-2, he's just going on first movement. And if you don't make a good throw to Duda, with the speed that he has, there's no way of getting him. See this throw to his left? He has the spin. Lucas did a pretty good job of getting rid of that to make it as close as it was.
First stolen base for Peterson. Now the tying run in scoring position, 0-2 to Freeman. And Blevins takes a look. You got Flores playing directly behind the bag at second, which means Peterson can't get too far away. Well, Blevins has some wiggle room here. Got another left-hand hitter on deck in Pierzynski, and he's way ahead in the count.
Opens up that shortstop hole, though.
Curveball struck him out. Jerry Blevins comes in and strikes out Markakis and Freeman back-to-back to keep the Mets in the lead heading to the ninth. The lefty specialist getting his lefties. 4-3 Mets as we head to the ninth in Atlanta. Rom gets the honor of pitching the home opener against the Phillies and the veteran and former Met Aaron Harang tomorrow afternoon at 1:10. We go to the ninth. Got some boogieing going on at Turner Field. David Wright leads off against Andrew McKirahan and takes a strike. David's had a good day at the plate, 2 for 3 and a walk. It'll be Wright, Duda, and Kadire as the Mets look for some insurance heading to the ninth. And David grounds one slowly. Tough play for Goslin coming in. And he makes the play look easy for the first.
Good play by Goslin because it was hit too hard that he couldn't barehand it. So he had to field it with his glove and then make the exchange and the overhand throw in plenty of time. See a lot of guys throw from the side there, but he just threw right over the top.
Guy has been more efficient in shallow right. Duda's 2 for 4 today.
Even against the lefty here, Gary.
Ball 1 to Duda. 2 hits today, 4 for 9 in the series. Michael Kadire on deck. And it's lined the other way, and Duda's got another hit against the left-hander. That's 3 of them today. And again, he takes it the other way. So a 3-hit day for Duda. We check in with the studio, see what's coming up on WB Mason Postgame Live. Gary Apple, Jim Duquette, guys. All right, guys, as Michael Kadire steps in, Kadire got the ball rolling for the Mets this afternoon with a 2-run homer in the first inning, his first as a Met. And he grounds a double play ball to Simmons. The turn by Peterson, and that'll do it for the Mets in the top of the ninth. 6-4-3 on the double play. We go to the bottom of the ninth, the Mets protecting a 1-run lead. Mets game against the Marlins at 7:10. For tickets, visit Mets.com/fireworks. Well, with the left-hand hitting A.J. Pierzynski set to lead off in the bottom of the ninth, Jerry Blevins, who struck out Markakis and Freeman, will stay in to start the ninth, with Jerry's Familia lying in wait. And Pierzynski takes up and away for ball one.
Well, let's see if Blevins can pull off the triple here. Get through Markakis, Freeman, and A.J.
Familia ready to go. He's the new designated closer. And he'll get a chance in a moment with the right-hand batting Johnny Gomes on deck. And Pierzynski takes out of the strike zone, and Blevins behind 2-0. Freddie Gonzalez does not have any left-hand bats left on his bench. He used his only one, Kelly Johnson, in the seventh.
The rule usually, down and run, you usually take this pitch, but lefty, I'd let A.J. swing the bat.
Already has a home run this year. Came in his first at bat as a Brave. And he takes a strike, 2-1.
He's taken all the way.
Johnny Gomes on deck. Phil Goslin behind him. Pierzynski 1 for 3 in his career against Blevins. And he swings over the breaking ball. Good curve by Blevins, and it's 2-2.
Well, that's what makes you a good left-handed reliever, left-handed specialist. Your ability to throw the breaking ball when you're behind in the count.
So Blevins has worked his way back to 2-2. And a good swing by Pierzynski on the fastball. A.J. Pierzynski, 38 years old, his 18th big league season with his 7th different team. Lifetime .281 hitter. Two. Breaking ball misses, and now a full count to Pierzynski.
Underrated player for his time in the major leagues.
If he can find his way aboard, they have Cameron Maybin to be a pinch runner. Born out in the Hamptons, grew up in Florida. 3-2. Ground ball. Tejada in the shift. And a low throw handled by Duda. Second time Pierzynski's hit the ball to the same spot. So Jerry Blevins has faced 3 left-hand batters, gotten them all out. His work is done. Now it's Jerry's Familia to try and get the final 2 outs and secure a Mets victory. We'll be right back. information on the Nets and the golf and the Yukon women. Ho-hum.
Another championship.
Are they allowed to say three-peat? Geico Sports Night tonight at 10:30. Well, Jerry's Familia gets his first save opportunity since being designated the closer.
Yeah, when he came in that one game, he had a 4-run lead. He's given up a run in 2 innings of work this season.
He'll face Johnny Gomes and Phil Goslin with 1 out and nobody on after Jerry Blevins did spectacular work retiring the 3 left-hand hitters in the middle of the Braves batting order. Gomes tied up this game in the 7th inning with his first home run as a Brave against Bartolo Colon. Mets untied it in the 8th. And now Familia trying to lock it down. And Gomes takes the first pitch slider for a strike.
That was impressive. First pitch slider by Familia.
And that's not where he usually throws his slider. That was more of a get it over slider.
That's a good one, though, to a fastball hitter. Gomes is sitting dead red.
Phil Goslin, the on deck batter, waiting for his first plate appearance of the day.
I think Gomes thought this was down, but it's a nasty pitch. Bottom just drops out. Good job by Recker to hold that ball up there.
First time Gomes has faced Familia in a regular season game. Quick pitch. In there for a call. Strike 3. 3 pitches, all taken, and Gomes is a strikeout victim, and the Braves are down to their final out.
You know, Gomes loves to pull on that cap, get ready, all those kind of things, and that quick pitch caught him by surprise. He wasn't happy after that strike was called. Too bad.
So now it's Phil Goslin, who came in as the pinch runner for Alberto Callaspo in the 7th inning, stayed in the game at third base. Goslin had the game-winning hit in the 8th inning of Friday night's game. Batting here with 2 out and nobody on. And takes a strike.
Well, the Troy Hawkins spirit still lives here with the New York Mets. See, he's pulling out that cap. Loves to do all that stuff before the pitch is delivered. One too many pulls on the cap for Gomes.
Familia's thrown 4 pitches, 4 strikes. And the Braves have yet to take the bat off their shoulder. And that one misses low, ball and a strike. If Goslin can keep it going, Andrelton Simmons would be next. And right now, the way Simmons is swinging the bat, that's the last guy you want to face. Mets 4 runs, 9 hits. The Braves 3 runs, 7 hits. One from Familia, and Goslin pops it up. Lagares comes on to call, and the ball game is over. The Mets salvage the finale in Atlanta and go home with a 3-3 road trip to start the season. Bartolo Colon gets his first RBI in 10 years. The Mets get a go-ahead sacrifice fly from Daniel Murphy in the 8th, and they make it work.